So I was going to review Gaming Force's like full full on like review of this, as you can see right over there. But I figured IGN does do most of the like well, they do very well like reviews. They do not shy away from most of the like bad points of a game. So if I feel like this hasn't like really like shown us what most of the game can be like, well, what the game is like, then I'm going to go over to Gaming Force's like review and see what he has to say, because I mean, I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I mean, he's like a YouTuber. Unless he's sponsored by them, he's not going to be shy about his words. In fact, I should actually go and watch Asmongold's, but I mean, we're here, we're gonna watch this one, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Like seeing your favorite band play their greatest hit live, Diablo 4 is completely awesome to behold, even when you know exactly how the song's going to go.
Okay,
it may not try to push the
one
boundaries
reference
of ARPGs, but the tweaks, improvements, and borrowed ideas it does introduce have made this the best Diablo's ever been.
I guess you can say that, because people would say that Diablo 2 was the best Diablo could be, but I guess you take your poison. So if this is the best Diablo can be as of right now, then I mean, I guess it's true.
Finely tuned combat, extensive build options.
Yeah, the skill tree is like really shocked me. I mean, it really is very diverse, and I actually quite enjoy it.
And stellar graphics are all among the most impressive in the genre,
mommy.
Its endgame activities are shockingly well thought out. A weak story and some irritating bugs do occasionally throw a wet blanket over the fires of hell, but the
story isn't the main driving force of Diablo. I don't think it ever was. Well, I know for some people the story is everything, but I mean, when you play like D&D, okay, D&D is kind of the story, but I mean, the best, like the part I see lots of people like discuss over is the gear, how to build a character, and just all around just looting for gear is what drives RPGs. The story most of the time is dog shit. So even having a decent story is a good thing. I mean, what keeps you what keeps you actually playing any type of game? It's the gameplay, right? Now, what keeps you playing any like Diablo game? The loot, the character building, and just farming in general for loot is what keeps most people going. Because the story you play once, you know what's going on. There's like no reason to play it again. But it's the progression for your character, for the chance of like getting a legendary, the mind-blowing realization that when you do get a legendary, it's absolute dog shit, and then you like hide away in a corner, wishing that you never wasted your hours playing the game. We all have our ups and downs playing any type of like RPG. So, I mean, the story isn't the driving force of like an RPG.
The 80 hours I've spent in Sanctuary have still been overwhelmingly positive, and even after all that demon slaying, I'm excited to play a whole lot more.
Break the chains.
Oh, this was a great cutscene.
And discover who you were meant to be. Break the chains.
Diablo 4 largely succeeds at modernizing the depths of hell enough to finally match its more recent ARPG peers, like Path of Exile or Lost Ark. You and up to 3 friends are once again sent on an endless string of exciting dungeon crawls, where mastering your abilities and optimizing your DPS are generally more important than an engaging story or explaining the insane diarrhea of flickering lights that currently occupies the screen.
Yeah, the screen does get kind of overwhelmed by just a bunch of like scales, lightning bolts, earth pillars, fire bolts, you know? It really does get kind of overwhelming.
Once again captures that enjoyable, compelling loop of killing hordes of enemies.
I mean, now I know people don't really like Diablo 3, and people that do like it, it's like Boruto fans. I, for one, I quite enjoy Boruto. I do watch the filler, the anime canon stuff, even if people say it's dog shit. I mean, for most of the time, something to watch. I'd rather watch that than watch the hundreds of thousands of isekai, like anime. There is some that is great, but most of the time they are kind of boring because they all just like follow up after one another. So yeah, I mean, if you read one, you know what happens in the others. There is some exceptions where they do change, like the story just a tad bit, like being reincarnated with my smartphone. That was a really nice twist on it. What's the one with the mage? His name's Rudy. Fuck, I can't remember. But I mean, his like story journey thing was also quite interesting. But most of the time, if you've watched one, then you know what happens in all the other ones. So, God, what was my point here? I've completely just like lost track of it. What was the point here?
Flickering lights that currently occupies the screen.
Fuck, hold on, give me 1 minute.
Dungeons once again captures that enjoyable, compelling loop of killing hordes of enemies, completing objectives, and downing bosses, and doing side quests.
I've completely lost my train of thought. Fuck.
More about the world's lore is usually a very good time.
If you guys know what I was talking about, then hopefully you guys get it. But God, I can't believe I lost my train of thought.
I hope you've lined your pockets with healing drops.
If you were hoping Diablo 4 would shock the ARPG world with massive innovations to the genre, however, you're likely to be disappointed in that regard.
Well, I mean, you can't really improve on the genre that much anymore. Because Path of Exile did their thing, and I mean, that worked out quite well. Diablo's been doing their thing, and that's actually quite well. I mean, you cannot complain that the rifting from like Diablo 3 wasn't that was that bad. It was actually quite good. Diablo 2, I believe it was like ladder reset or something like that. That was actually quite cool. I do not know what Lost Ark does, but I mean, you cannot really improve that much on it because almost everything that has been done, everything that you can do has already been done. I can only think of like 1 or 2 maybe things that they can actually change, but other than that, you can't really change up the genre that much anymore.
Blizzard mostly seems content to play it safe by making smart but unsurprising.
Well, they kinda have to, because Overwatch 2, massive flop. The thing that was driving Overwatch 2 was the PvE. That's not gone. If you guys want, I'll link the video in the description on my like reaction to Blizzard like canceling it. The World of Warcraft, I believe the Dragonflight expansion is coming out, or it is out. There's just so much to keep track of with Blizzard because of so many flops. So I'm pretty sure the like hype around the Dragonflight DLC expansion thing like died down quite a bit. It might resurface once it gets closer, or it's already been out. God, I do not remember. What else? Oh yeah, the race for Diablo 4 is already a mess, so them playing it safe is understandable. I mean, they don't want like another Diablo 3 incident, even though I think the game was actually quite good. It had lots of like great ideas, but I mean, one person can't like convince a whole company. I mean, that's why Overwatch 2 is kind of like dead. Because, well, I mean, if you're the CEO, you can obviously make the changes. But yeah, I'm not the CEO, so. But overall, them playing it safe is understandable because they need a success at the moment. They need something to succeed because they do not have anything going for them at the moment.
Surprising changes to the ARPG formula.
Like, I feel bad for the developers, but the CEOs, oh, fuck them, man.
Things like more customizable skill trees and more diverse playstyles between classes. That might sound overly familiar, but this strategy has resulted in a game that's unbelievably well designed, succeeding at practically everything it tries. Diablo 4's story probably isn't going to win any awards, but it's still a massive step in the right direction compared to its predecessor.
The story for Diablo 3 wasn't that bad. I mean, the beginning part, quite good. Around Act 4, well, it is towards the end of the game. It kind of picks up again. But I mean, any middle part in like any game, it is kind of bad. Like, developers haven't like really, haven't really like figured out the middle ground part yet. And it's for almost every game. I mean, Honkai, the middle part of it was kind of felt like filler. Genshin as well, Tower of Fantasy. I haven't played Path of Exile, so I can't really say that. But I mean, unless you talk about like a Dark Souls game, because that story, their storyline is all over the place. If you don't know what to look for, or what to listen out for, or read the like codexes and stuff inside the game, you're practically lost on the story, and then you literally just play the game for the gameplay. But I mean that's what almost everybody does, and just like reads up about the lore on like YouTube or something. So I mean that's what YouTube is for, technically, if you're a Dark Souls fan. But again, the story isn't the driving force of like an RPG.
To find and stop Lilith, daughter of one of the primevals of hell, after she unleashes her fury upon Sanctuary, serves as a fantastic kicking off point.
Yeah, that poor priest got fucked. He got absolutely fucked.
Days of WWE-like voice performances and dreadfully cheesy dialogue.
Now, our true work begins.
Damn, she's so pretty.
The Queen of Succubi is one of the most complex villains the series has
She
ever
is succubus.
seen, with motivations that even made me question the justness of my own cause.
Well, I mean, that's good.
All that you might have been
Who's that?
has been stolen from me.
But before you get any real payoff for what's
Oh, look at those eyes, man. Oh, fuck, I accidentally turned on. Look at those eyes. That's like a darker one, and that's like a lighter one. Oh, there's actually some pretty eyes.
Set up in the first act, you'll spend most of the next 4 going on tangentially related errands with more filler than a packing peanut factory.
That's every game.
The result
Every
is
fucking
an
game.
interesting but disjointed story, which is a real
Oh, that was a good cutscene as well.
Anytime Lilith
Fuck.
is on screen, it's engrossing stuff. But she's largely hidden behind a curtain, waiting for the final act of the campaign, with a payoff that then doesn't stick the landing.
Oh.
This can't be.
Oh, well.
The ending does at least nicely set up a whole host of possibilities for Diablo 4's inevitable updates and expansions, but it's hard not to feel let down by what this story could have been.
Who demon? You demon? Okay. What a great segment. Damn, that was a good cutscene.
Rolling credits in a Diablo game means you've only just finished the appetizer, not the main course. When it comes to the things that really matter, like combat, build crafting, hunting
Holy
for gear,
fuck.
and especially the endgame, Diablo 4 absolutely knocks it out of the park. All 5 character classes are a ton of fun to play as.
I kind of heard that they were like reworking the necromancer class, and they kind of fucked it up. Like, I don't know how true that is, or if they already done it and is now finished with it, but I kind of heard that they've like completely like messed up the necromancer class.
Rogue darts around to deal extreme damage in an exhilarating high-risk, high-reward trade-off.
Kind of like the assassin from the second game.
Sorcerer creates horrifying cocktails of destruction, like this disgusting lightning build I brewed up to stun.
I kind of wish that like a lot of games would like, when there's like a mage like class, they would kind of like, you guys, if you guys know, from like 7 Deadly Sins, they have like this combo spell thing, that they do in the anime. And for instance, if you're like a druid, you have like a tornado. I think you have like a fire skill, and like maybe in those like further up the like skill tree, you can have those skills like combine into like say like a fire tornado, or because he has like earth element, he can go like molten rock slam, or you know, stuff like that. Just combine the fucking skills, and I think it would actually be quite good, because it would lead to more possibilities in the like game, like more combos, or like for instance, I'm pretty sure the wizard is like ice, has like ice, fire, and I think yeah, lightning. Don't know if it has fire, but it should have fire, right? But I mean, have like ice and the fire make like this cold blue ice that that along with freezes actually burns enemies. And you know, it just, I feel like they should be doing like combo spells like that in RPGs because of the vast variety. It could muddy up the water a tad bit, but I mean overall, if they do it well, the game should be very good. But I mean, that's my hopes and dreams.
On everything around me constantly. The necromancer raises and manipulates.
We all know what the necromancer does. It's either a like a corpse explosion build, blood build, or like an undead build. Other than that, you don't really have other builds for a necromancer.
The corpses of fallen enemies to carry out their foul desires. The barbarian is an expert in all forms of Hulk smashing, who can charge forward to destroy everything in their path. And the druid uses their anamorph abilities to wail on demons.
God, I love a druid. My best, like my favorite like character to build in Diablo 2 was a druid. Just because there was so much build variety, because there was like, you could have like a pack of wolves, you had this like worm thingy, you had crows, yeah, you could turn into a bear, you could turn yourself into like a werewolf. I mean, there was just so many fucking builds. My favorite, like, one of my favorite druid builds was like this werewolf thing. That there was like an item, like a unique item, and that gave you like a frenzy skill. So every time you attack, you would attack like faster and do more damage. So at the end of the day, I think it was a skill actually. So at the end of the day, I would 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits on an enemy, go over to the next enemy, and especially against bosses, your attack speed would jump up so high that in a matter of like 10-20 seconds, I killed Diablo very fucking fast. It was insane.
Most build diversity of any class. Gear substantially affects the paths you might choose to take a character down. For example, you might get a magical pair of pants that heal you when standing close to enemies, warranting a shift in your build from slaying enemies from afar to something close quarters. Or maybe, like me, you'll get devilishly lucky when you find a weapon that's
Unstable Currents has a 17 chance to cast additional shock skill. Sorcerer only. Ooh.
Sometimes casts 2 lightning spells for the price of 1, leading to some absolute mayhem.
Excuse me. Oh, that's actually quite good.
Trying out new builds and experimenting with powerful equipment is
now see, there's the corpse explosion.
Diablo 4. I spent most of my time on my sorcerer, where I continuously discovered new and extremely rude ways to be the best glass cannon I could be, like equipping an ice shield that froze enemies for the sin of attacking me to remove said shield.
Unlucky.
The
Poor monster.
variety of systems available to optimize your character are so numerous that it can be pretty dizzying at first, even for a Diablo veteran like me. But when properly
can't be
mastered,
that hard.
this is easily one of the best build crafting toolboxes of all time. Whether it's the dense skill trees, the endgame paragon boards and powerful glyphs that can be upgraded and socketed into them, the plethora of loot options across various world tiers and rarity levels.
I see they didn't really do what they said. Because I believe one of the like good things about Diablo 4 was that you would like they'd make like blue and like gold items like a teeny bit better, so that they're more like wanted towards the end of the game, but apparently not. I guess nothing will top like Diablo 2's like magic and like epic items, because most of the time you'd rather want like a blue or gold item over like a unique item, because I mean it was just better. There was like extra skills, like items actually gave like upgraded your like skills in the skill tree, like gave like 3 to maybe like 5 points in that skill. I mean, that's what you wanted magic items for, and like epic items, because most of the time unique items didn't really do that. But apparently they, because I'm pretty sure I heard someone say, like back before like debate and shit came out, they were like talking about Diablo 4, was that they were going to make blue and like epic items like a teeny bit more relevant, but by the looks of it, not so much.
The gems and vendor upgrades you can use to make that equipment even better, or the fact that gear perks can be tweaked to optimize them for a certain build. Blizzard seems to have thought of just about everything. And all that control meant I never came close to feeling like my time wasn't being respected when a loot drop didn't happen to go my way.
Dungeon Masters, welcome. Ooh.
Diving into the bone-riddled halls of this ancient tomb or this demon body part exhibit is a consistent joy. No matter what class you've chosen, shredding your way through piles of wretched reprobates is usually effortless fun that lets you flex your unrivaled power.
Damn.
Though some of the more difficult activities like nightmare dungeons are bound to put those skills to the test. There's also a good chance you'll run into a random event that might have you rescuing some poor lost souls or getting attacked by the Butcher, a familiar demon who enjoys meat hooks more than I thought.
The Butcher has slimmed down a bit. He's not as fat as he was, but he buffed up a hell of a lot, man.
Possible. Admittedly, regular minions have very few
look at that.
who enjoys meat hooks more than I thought possible.
From the back view here. Where's it? Look how buff he looks, man.
Regular minions have very few unique mechanics I could discern in the seconds it took to send most back to hell with my coldest regards.
Damn.
But you do get the occasional breath of fresh air, like shamans that summon new enemies to the battlefield, making their
like every other Diablo game,
a high priority, or skeletons that slowly shamble toward you with big beefy shields.
Ooh.
Dungeon bosses have a bit of a similar inconsistency.
Blood Bishop.
I can only fight so many big floating demon wizards called the Curator or some such nonsense before it all just blends together into one big pile of satisfyingly defeated gore. But others are much more memorable, like one where a laughing cultist repeatedly summoned waves of freaks until he ran out of steam and was quickly turned into a bowl of mashed potatoes by me and my friends. Speaking of friends, Diablo 4 is great for making them, as an online connection is required to push back the forces of evil.
Also, you have to play with internet connection. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. Because then you could lag and like rubber band a hell of a lot if your internet isn't that great. Like, that, I don't know about that. I really don't.
This comes with the expected rare hitches, like getting disconnected or having to wait in short queues to play during a...
If I got disconnected when I got a legendary item, I'd be so fucking pissed.
...particularly busy time, the benefits far exceed the drawback.
Not really, because again, I've suffered with like bad internet for a hell of a long time. And if you play online, you hit rubber band and lag out, and like it is not a great time. I think that they should make like an offline mode, because I mean, it can't be that hard. I really don't think it could be that hard to make like an offline mode, but having the game constantly online, I feel bad for the people that have bad internet connection, but they want to play the game. And I really do feel bad for them.
There's a much greater sense of discovery now, as you encounter other players out in the wild, or murder them in cold blood in a PvP zone.
Okay.
And those chance encounters when you're taking down a world boss, for example, can turn into new online friends. It's especially cool that trading and clans seem to have greatly increased in prominence compared to previous Diablo games, and there's a real sense of community around taking down endgame group activities together. That's the kind of magic you can get in an online game, and I'm very excited to see what ridiculous shenanigans the...
I guess, but again, most people... There has to be some solo content in an online game, because lots of people do not really want to do stuff in a group. I mean, dungeons I can understand, raiding I can understand, like if you want to raid like a boss. But I mean, if you just want to do like a simple, like, quick, like, dungeon run, you have to sit in a queue, waiting for people, and then halfway through that run, somebody messes up and the whole fucking team like wipes. I would be very pissed. I would very much be very pissed. That's why when World of Warcraft and like any MMO like started to introduce like more and more like solo content, everybody quite loved it, because they didn't have to wait or they died to unnecessary shit.
Community gets up to. Optimizing your build and coordinating with your squad means nothing if there aren't endgame activities waiting to be conquered. And Diablo 4
Genshin knows a thing or two about that.
has quite possibly
not having an endgame.
the best day one endgame experience I've seen.
Really?
Once you've beaten the campaign, you'll be able to run bounties for the extremely creepy Tree of Whispers, which spawns new activities infinitely in exchange for high-level loot drops.
Damn.
Doing so at higher world tiers also gives you keys to Nightmare Dungeons, which are more challenging versions.
I remember Nightmare Dungeons. Diablo 3 had like, each had like one like map thing that spawned like a boss, and that boss would drop like a key. Then you go into like Act 1, next to the like healer dude right as you enter the town. That first building, you can destroy the door, go in there, and you know, that was actually quite fun. It was very challenging to do solo. I mean, I did it, because I farmed the fuck out of that game, so I could do almost everything solo. Diablo 2 had something similar, I think. But instead of nightmare stuff, ooh, I had a hair in my mouth. Instead of like nightmare dungeons, I think it had more like uber bosses, I think, which I think they're somewhat similar, I think.
Of existing levels that add crazy stuff, like an invincible crystal that magically chases you while you fight
That sounds fucking annoying.
I was around level 43 when I finished the campaign, but at level 50, you'll also be ready to tackle the first capstone dungeon, a mostly by-the-numbers dungeon that serves as a power check to unlock the third world tier, and which grants access to a variety of new activities and loot drop ranks. One completely awesome addition.
Wait, what's the max level in the game? Level 100, right?
Are Helltide events, which cause blood to rain.
So, does that mean like there's like world tier 4 or 5? Or is it only like world tier 3?
In the sky in certain zones, and uber deadly enemies swarm everywhere. Killing them and collecting nonsensically named aberrant cinders without dying allows you to open special chests that are positively crammed with sacred loot. Like this.
And the dev said, like, one of the biggest concerns about Diablo 4 would be like if they copied like Diablo 3 and just had like legendaries drop constantly. Yeah, that seems to have gone out the window.
PvP is possibly the endgame activity with the longest tail. You'll find 2 PvP zones in Sanctuary, where you compete to slay NPC enemies to collect materials while keeping your head on a swivel to defend against rival players who might decide to kill you and take your resources for themselves. Running around in these chaotic zones is completely nerve-wracking and hilarious, especially since even your own party members can betray you by
Okay. If they have like unique like legendary items that drop in the PvP zones, then I can understand going back there constantly to try and get them. But I mean, if it's only like to get like a legendary that can drop outside of the PvP zones, then I mean, I'd rather just go and farm there because it's safer. Like if the same legendaries are dropped in the PvP zones as it does everywhere else, then I mean, I'd rather just go farm somewhere else. Even if it's a lower chance, at least I won't have the chance of dying, getting angry, rage quitting, and then coming back like the next day to do it all again. Like I can understand the fun of it, but at the same time, if there's no like unique legendaries that drop from the PvP zone, I'm not gonna do it.
Keeping up your valuable materials since they aren't shared. You might even be tempted to leave the party to rid yourself.
And that's even worse. If the items isn't shared and a legendary drops, it's first come first serve, bitch. And wait. What did he say?
Materials since they aren't shared. You might even be tempted to leave the party to rid yourself of that pesky friendly.
So, in other words, if you pick the legendary up, your teammate can then leave the party, kill you, and then get the legendary. Oh my god, that sounds fucking... No, I won't do that.
Fire protection and lash out at a former ally.
I won't do that. Nope.
Then at level 70, you get another capstone dungeon to unlock the final world tier for even better loot.
Oh, so
and
world
there's
tier
yet
4.
Another final endgame dungeon designed for level 100 characters after that. The treadmill of things to conquer is so well designed, I didn't want to get off even when I felt like I had seen 95% of what was on offer. The whole time you work towards the max level of 100, you're earning Paragon points to make your character even more deadly against your increasingly formidable foes, which serve as a carrot to keep grinding your way through Tree of Whisper bounties, Helltide events, and PvP zones. The endgame grind to reach that max level is practically perfect in terms of variety, replayability, build crafting, and more. Even if you somehow run out of things to do in the endgame for one character, rolling a second or third instantly becomes a fresh experience, since the campaign is optional after you beat it once, and certain account-wide...
Thank fuck. Because if I had to sit through the story again, I'd just be skipping some cutscenes. Because I would not want to sit through the campaign again.
Bonuses instantly give your new
I'm looking at you, Genshin.
A boost. The most important of these unlocks is your mount, which allows your new characters to race off to faraway parts of the map so you can begin leveling with whichever activities you want.
Oh, that's good.
Dungeons or participating in PvP from the fresh perspective of a whole new class immediately shakes off any dust Diablo 4's lengthy grind might gather and extends the good times even further than I thought possible. The only things that can occasionally knock that train off the rails are a few nasty bugs. For example, if you enjoy teleporting around as a sorcerer, be prepared to get stuck in the ground literally hundreds of times. Like this. Thankfully, that can be resolved by just...
fuck me! What the fuck? How do you float like that?
Teleporting back to town, but I wasted a lot of time retracing my steps, only for it to happen again a few minutes later. There's also some weird rubber banding that sometimes goes on when you try to go from one region to another.
That is fucking dumb.
Most of Diablo 4's issues are extremely specific things like this that will probably get patched, but they were noticeable enough to tangibly impact my enjoyment a bit in the meantime.
Okay. My ears.
Diablo 4 is a stunning sequel with near-perfect endgame and progression design that makes it absolutely excruciating to put down. The story is disappointing, despite still being a noticeable improvement over Diablo 3.
I don't care about the story.
There are some annoying bugs that need squashing, but the combat, the loot game, and both the sights and sounds of this world are impressive enough to smooth over those rough edges.
Well, that's fine.
Diablo 4 takes the strategy of refining things the series already did so well rather than giving it a massive overhaul. And that careful and reverent path has shaped this massive sequel into one of the most polished ARPGs ever created, which makes slicing through the legions of the damned a hell of a good time.
Damn, bitch.
For more, check out our reviews of Gollum and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
So, let me know what you guys think about Diablo 4. If you guys are going to participate in the race. I'm pretty sure it's already been going, I think. I forgot when. I think it's the 8th of June, maybe. When people can actually like start playing the game in early access. So let me know if you guys are going to participate in the race. If you guys have come across like any other like problems with the game. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.